3002. So before we begin, I would like everybody to keep their cameras off. And if you do put your camera on, the host would remove you from the lesson. So please adhere to that. Okay. So yesterday we did vertical multiplication. I did rounding off and vertical multiplication. And then some of you told me that it was I should go a bit slower because the concept was difficult to understand. So I want to do a quick recap of how to round off to the nearest 100. And then I'm going to go very, very slowly explaining the steps for vertical multiplication, because you're now going to be doing where we have here 3 digits by 3 digits, and then we're going to move on to multiplying 4 digits with 3 digits. So when we're going to round off to the nearest 100, remember the rule. Look at the number, then look at your neighbor next door. When you look at your neighbor next door, if the number is 5 or more, then your neighbor goes 1 up. So the 374 becomes 400. So let's look at the 246 here at the top. So if I have 4 or less, you look at your neighbor next door. If it is 4 or less, then your neighbor stays the same and the rest of the numbers become 0. So all you do is when you are multiplying, rounding off numbers, you look at the zeros. So there's 1, there's 2, there's 3, and there's 4. So you add 4 zeros to your sum. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you take the 2 and you multiply it with this 4. Okay, so I'm going to show it to you. You're going to take this 2 and you're going to multiply it with that 4. So then you add your 8. And it becomes very simple and you get the answer of 80,000. So I'm going to repeat one more time just to reinforce it. So rounding off rules is 5 or more. Look at your neighbor next door. 5 or more, your neighbor goes 1 higher. Then the rest of the numbers become 0. 4 or less, your neighbor next door stays the same and the rest of the numbers become 0. Okay, so now we're going to go on to vertical multiplication. So I want you to have paper and pen next to you, and we're going to do it step by step, so then you can put it into perspective for you. Okay, so I want you to use the columns to make it easy for you now. So you write hundreds, you write tens, and you write units. Space it out so it doesn't become cramped, and it will help you to understand. Then write the number 374. So now first we're going to, first we're going to multiply the number 6. So we take 374 multiplied by 6. So we take 6 times 4. So 6 times 4 is 24. And then we're going to carry the number 2. Excuse the writing. Okay. So this number 2 that we're going to carry, we're going to add it here by this 27. So I'm going to put the 27 here. Okay. Then we're going to multiply the 6 with the 7. So 6 times 7 is 42. So 42 times this 2 here, my 2 doesn't look very good here. 42 plus this 2 gives you the number 44. But now we can't add the 44 in the tens column, so we add the 4 here, and we take the 40 and we put it by the hundreds column, and we put a 4 here. So we know that we have to add this 4 with the answer that we're going to get. So then we're going to take 6 times the 3. So 6 times 3 is 18, and then 18 plus 4 gives you 22. So we can't put the 22 in this 100 column. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the 2, we put it here, and we create another column, which is going to be your 1,000 columns. So you get your answer of 2,244. So I'm going to repeat that very slowly again. 6 times 4 is 24. So you put the 4 here and you carry the 2. 6 times 7 is 42. So the 42 plus this 2 here gives us the answer of 44. So we put the 4 and we carry the other 4 here into the hundreds column. Then we multiply 6 times 3 is 18. 18 plus this 4 gives 22, and we get the answer 22. So what we basically did is we multiplied this 6 here with this whole number here. Okay, so I'm going to move to the next slide. And in the next slide, I'm going to multiply 374 times 40. Okay. So here we have 374 times 40. So now when we multiply in 0, the rule that you have learned previously, that any number that you multiplied by 0 is 0. So in this unit column, we put a magic 0 because we multiply in a 10. So you put 1 0. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the 4 and multiply it with this 4. So 4 times 4 is 16. So I'm going to write your 16 here. 4 times 4. You're going to put your cameras off, remember. The host would remove you from the chat if you keep your cameras on. So 4 times 4 is 16. So we take this 6 and we put this 6 here. Okay. Now, so we take this 1 and we put this 1 here. Okay, my writing is a bit crooked. So please excuse that for now. Then we're going to take this 4 and we're going to multiply it with the 7. So 7 times 4 is basically, we have our answer here. 7 times 4 is 28. So what we do is we take this 28 and we add it with that 1 and we get the answer 29. So we take our 9 and then we're going to carry a 2 here. Okay, so because we're carrying a 2 here, we must remember to add it. So you must put it here so you don't forget to add it. Most children forget to add the carrying over when they multiply. So we have 4 times 3 is 12, and then 12 plus the 2 is 14. So we get our answer of 14960. So I'm going to go back to the previous slide. So remember we had this answer. And now for this answer, 374 times 40, this would be our answer, 14960. So now what we're going to do is we're going to multiply the third number, which is 376 by the 200, which is this 200 here. So we multiplied the 40 with the number. So now we're going to multiply this 200 with that whole number. Okay, so I want you to keep in mind the first answer here, when we multiplied it, the second answer, and now the third answer here. Because we're multiplying with 2 zeros, with 200s, so in the tens column and in the units column, you put your magic 0 here. You must always do that. When you're multiplying 200, in the tens columns and the units column, you always put your 2 magic zeros here. So now we're going to start the whole process again. So we always start, we take the number and we start multiply the units first. So we're going to multiply this 200 with that 4, which is 2 times, now this 2 with that 4, 2 times 4 is 8. Then we're going to multiply this 2 with the 7. 2 times 7 is 14. So we put the 4 here and we carry a 1. Okay, then we take 3 times 2 is 6. 6 plus the 1 is 7. So we get the answer of 74800. So what we do is we take the first answer when we multiply it by the 6, the second answer when we multiply it by the 40, the third answer when we multiply it by the 200, and we put it all together. So this was the first step that we did, this was the second step that we did, and this is the third step that we did. Okay, now you could see from what I did, to multiply each number takes a long time because you have to write different sums out and it takes up space and you're wasting paper as well. So instead of doing it all separately, what you do is you put it together, but you put it in rows. So this first row is multiplying the 6, and the second row is multiplying the 40, and the third row here is multiplying the 200. So we put all our answers here, and we have 4 plus 0 plus 0 is 4. 4 plus 6 is 10. So we put 0 here and we carry our 1. Then 1 plus 9 is 10. 10 plus 8 is 18. 18 plus 2 is 20. So we put a 0 here and we carry a 2. Okay, please don't forget to do the carrying. It's very, very important that you have to carry. So now we're going to add the thousands column. So 4 plus 4 is 8. 8 plus 2 is 10. And we carry our 2, which gives us 12. So we put our 2 here, and then we carry our 1. Okay, so then we have 7 plus 1 is 8. 8 plus 1 is 9. And this would be our final answer. So in some schools, this if they're lenient with you, this could be a 4-mark question. They can give you 1 mark for each question, for each row. Okay, because they want to see that you get the process right. And the reason why they ask you to do this vertical multiplication, because it enhances your higher order thinking skills by taking separate things and you put it together and you learn holistically. So it's basically developing your cognitive knowledge in your brain by you be able to learn it together, putting it all together to think things together. So if you have difficulty doing this, what I suggest you do first is you first do it separately, like how I did it here. First you do this multiplication, the units, then multiply the tens, then multiply the sixes, the hundreds, and put it all next to each other. Then do your final sum like this, and you slot your answers in rows. It will help you understand how this concept works, this concept of vertical multiplication, multiplying 3 digits by 2 digits. So if you can do it, then you can do it straight away. But if you can't do it, separate it into the categories which I showed you first, all next to each other. You can use your paper diagonally, so it will make sense, and write it in big, because this is a learning process, and we all learn through mistakes, and we learn in the way that is easiest for us, and there's nothing wrong in learning in the way that is easiest for us. So when you put it together, if you did it separately, if you put the 6, then when you multiply the units here. If you multiply the 40s, then you'll take it and you'll slot it here. If you multiply the 200s, then you'll slot it here. And then you add it. And when you're adding, don't forget to carry over. You've learned this concept previously. So this basically does a reinforcing of how you do vertical multiplication. So learning that, we're going to do another example, but I'm not going to do it separately. We're going to do it together. Okay, but I will do it slowly. And then after this, I want to multiply a 4-digit with a 3-digit. So I'm going to do this rounding up first so you know. So we're going to round up to the nearest 100. So we're going to look at the 10. If it's 3 or less, if it's 4 or less, our neighbor next door stays the same, and the rest of the numbers become 0. If it is 5 or more, our neighbor next door goes 1 higher, and the rest of the numbers become 0. Then what we do is we count how many zeros there are. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. And then all we do is we take the 4 and we multiply it with the 7, and we add our 28, and we get our answer. So it becomes very, very easy. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to take this 4 here, and I'm going to multiply it with this whole number. So if we do it in our sums, when we write it in the columns, 732 multiplied by 354. So we take the 4 and we multiply it with this whole number here. So 4 times 4 is 8. Then we have 4 times 3 is 12. So we take our 2 here and then we carry our 1. So I'm going to put the carrying of the 1 here. Let's just say over here because it's my working out paper, right? I'm not going to do it like how I did it before because all the numbers are different and we're going to multiply all these numbers here by each of it. And if I keep on putting this carrying here, then you're going to get confused. So when we're doing 4 times 3 is 12. So we put our 2 here and we put our carrying next to it here so we know not to forget. And we put it in the same row as multiplying the units so we know not to forget. Okay, so then we multiply 4 times the 7. Now 4 times 7 is 28. And 28 plus the 1 gives us 29. So we got our units sorted out. Okay, so now we're going to multiply the 50. Now when we multiply in the 50, remember to put your magic 0 here. This is a magic 0. So now we're going to start multiplying our 5, first with the units, then the tens, and then the hundreds. So it's 5 times 2 is 10. So we put our 0 here and we add 1. Okay, we're going to carry our 1 to the next number. Then we're going to take 5 times 3. So 5 times 3 is 15. So 15 plus 1 is 16. So now we put our 6 and we know we're going to carry a 1. So I can either keep this 1 here or I can write another 1 so I know not to, that I need to add another 1. So what you can do is if you finish carrying this 1, you can scratch it out so you know you're done with it and then you won't get confused. So I put my 6 here and I carried the 1. Then we're going to take 5 times 7. 5 times 7 is 35 plus our 1 here gives us 36. So now I carried my 1 and I'm finished with it so I can scratch it out. Okay, so now we finish multiply 372 with the 50 and we're done and we have our magic 0 here. Now remember, if you don't put this magic 0, then all these numbers are going to move into the wrong column and when you are adding, you're going to get the sum wrong. So it's very important that you put your magic 0 when you're multiplying tens, hundreds, and thousands. Okay, so now we're going to multiply the 372 with the 300. So now because we multiply in 100, in the tens and the units column, we put 2 magic zeros. So we put 1 magic 0 here and 1 magic 0 here. So I say magic zeros is because it's a rule in mathematics when you're doing vertical multiplication that you put the zeros when you're multiplying it and the correct amount of zeros. So you put 1 0 in the unit column for if you multiply in a 10, you multiply in 100, then you put 2 zeros, 1 in the 10 column and 1 in the units column. Please put your cameras off. Okay, so then we're going to multiply 3 with the 2 in the units column. So 3 times 2 gives you 6. So we put our 6 here. Okay, so now we're going to take 3 times 3. So 3 times 3 gives you 9. And we put our 9 here. Then we have 3 times 7. So 3 times 7 is 21. So we put our 1 here and we put the 2 in the next column. So in this one, because it was easy to multiply, we didn't have to do any carrying over. So we didn't do any carrying over here because it was just very easy. When you multiply smaller numbers, it's easy to multiply without carrying over. So what you do now is, so now you get another mark here. So we're going to add all the units column in here. So this section where we ruled off here and we ruled off here is where we multiplied each number individually. So now we're going to add it together. So we have 8 plus 0 is 8. Then in the tens, 2 plus 0 is 2. And then the hundreds column, we have 9 plus 6 plus 6, which gives us 21. So we put our 2 here, and we're going to carry our 2 here. Okay, don't forget cameras off. So we have 9 plus 2. I'm adding what's easy first to make it easy. Because what you do is add the easy numbers first, and then you add the harder numbers, so it makes your adding quickly easier. So 9 plus 2 is 11. So 11 plus 6 is 17. And 17 plus the 2 here is 19. So I put my 9 here, and I'm going to carry over the 1 to the next column. So what we do now is we take 3 plus 1 is 4, plus the 1 that we brought over from the previous column is 5. And we put our 5 here. So now this 2 here has nothing to add, like how we had nothing to add here. So you just bring down the 2. Okay, and that gives us our final step of doing 3 by 2 vertical multiplication. Okay, so I hope you have understood this, and doing it, take this number down, take the answer down, and then do it on your own to give you the practice. Okay, so we're going to now move on to a 4 by 3 digit. So a 4 by 3 digit is 2,732, and we're going to multiply it with 354. So now sometimes in your examinations, they ask you, even though they give you one sum, they can test you on 2 operations together. So your 2 operations together would be, first they ask you to either estimate or to round off. So if they say estimate the following answer to the nearest 100, you know that you must round it off. So because they told us round off to the nearest 100, you can underline your keywords in your test as well. Okay, so rounding off to the nearest 100, we know we must look at the tens column. So if it is 4 or less, our neighbor next door stays the same, and the rest of the numbers become 0. So we're looking here at the next number, the 354. We're looking at the tens column. So if it is 5 or more, our neighbor next door goes 1 higher, and the rest of the numbers stay the same. So what we do now is we count our zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So all we do now is we multiply the 4 with the 7, and it gives us 28. Okay, so we put our 8, and we carry a 2. Okay, then we're going to multiply the 4 with the 2 here. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 plus this 2 gives us 10. And we get our answer here. Okay, so now let's do vertical multiplication. Remember, cameras off. We're going to do vertical multiplication here. Right, we're putting it together. So what we do is we're going to write our columns: thousands, tens, hundreds, thousands, hundreds, tens, and units. Do that first, and then we can later add our 10,000s and our 100,000s as we go along. So first we're going to multiply the 4 with 2732. So 4 times 2 is 8. We put that here. Then 4 times 3 is 12. So we put 2, and we're going to carry our 1. Then 4 times this 7 is 28. 28 plus this 1 gives us 29. So I'm finished with that one, and I'm going to carry my 2. So I put my 9 here and my 2 here. Then we're going to go 4 times 2 is 8. 8 plus this 2 gives us 10. So we multiplied our units with this number and we got the answer. So what we're going to do is we're going to multiply with the tens in the with the 5 in the tens. So we don't forget, we add our magic 0, okay, in the units column. So we can now move with the, we can say 5 because it's going to be complicated to always say 50 times this, 50 times that. So we just put our magic 0 in the unit column and we just say 5. So it's 5 times 2 is 10. So we put our 0 here and we carry our 1. So then we have 5 times 3 is 16. 5 times 3 is 15. 15 plus this 1 here gives us 16. So we put our 6 here and we carry our 1. Right, then we're going to go 5 times 7. 5 times 7 is 36. So, look, I'm already adding the 1. Sorry for that. 5 times 7 is 35. So 35 plus this 1 gives us 36. So we put our 6 here and we're going to carry our 3. Then we do the last one. 5 times 2 is 10. So we take 10 plus the 3 here is 13 and we write the answer 13. So what we did is we took 2732 and we multiplied it with 50. Okay, so now the last number, which is now we're going to multiply the hundreds. Okay, so what we do is here's 100. We're going to add our 2 magic zeros in the tens and in the units column. So we multiply in the 300. What we do is in the tens and the units columns, we put 2 magic zeros. And now all we do is we just say 3 and we multiply 3 by each of the above numbers. So 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 7 is 21. So we put our 1 here and we carry our 2 here. And then we say 3 times 2 is 6. 6 plus this 2 here is 8. And we're done with the third step. So can you see how much more easier it is, even though we added 1,000? So it doesn't matter, no matter how many numbers you add here, you just follow the steps, this method, where you multiply first the units, then the tens, then the hundreds. And even if they gave you 4 by 4 numbers, you just add another row over here, and then you multiply each one. But whatever number you multiply, whether it's a 10 or 100 or 1,000, cameras off please, you just put your magic zeros to the respective columns. So what we do now is our step. Our step is 8 plus 0 plus 0 is 8. Okay, then we have 2 plus 0 plus 0 is 2. So now we have 9. Let's add the 6's first because that's easier. 6 plus 6 is 12. 12 plus 9 is 21. So we put the 1 here and we carry a 2. Okay, so then we have, let's say we have 8 plus 2 is, 6 plus 2 is 8. And then 8 plus 9 gives us 17. So we put a 7 here and we carry our 1 here. So now we're going to add. 3 plus 1 is 4, plus 1 is 5, plus 1 is 6. So we get our answer of 6. Now there's nothing to add here, so we don't add it. And then we have 8 plus 1 is 9. So now we have our final answer, and that's how we did vertical multiplication with a 4 by 3 number, 3 digit. So you saw that it got a lot easier for you. Okay, so we'll do another one, and cameras off please, and we will go slowly. Okay, so we're gonna multiply. Shall I leave this on? If you just want to take it down, I'll leave it on for 30 seconds so you can take it down, because I did see somebody writing it just now. So I'm going to count 30 seconds and then I'll go to the next screen. Okay, so we're going to do the next one. So in this next one, I'll also leave it on for you to take it down if you need to. Okay, so we're going to look at multiplying 5152 times 431. So now let's do the rounding up first. So if they're asking you to rounding up to the nearest 100, so we're going to look at our tens column. So okay, let's not do we're going to look, let's not do this, right? Let's just do this because it will take some time. So we're going to have, let's look here. If we have, we're going to have 5152. We're going to multiply it with 431. So first we're going to multiply 5152 times 1. So we go with the units first. 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 1 is 1. And 1 times 5 is 5. So remember, when you any number multiplied by 1, cameras off please. Any number multiplied by 1 gives you the exact same number. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to multiply this 3. Now the 3 is in the tens column, so we're going to add our magic 0 here. Okay, we've added it in the units column. So now we no longer have to multiply 30, we just say 3 because our magic 0 is here. So we're going to multiply the 3 with the unit, then the 3 with the 10, the 3 with the 100, and we're going to multiply the 3 with the 5. So let's start the 3 with the units. So 3 times 2 is 6, we write it here. Then 3 times 5 is 15. So we put our 5 here and we carry a 1. So that's 3 times 5 is 15. Then we have 3 times 1 is 3 plus this 1 here is 4. So we add our 4 here. Then we have 3 times 5 is 15. So there's not, we look in our side over here, there's nothing to add. So we just write 15. So we have units multiplied, we have tens multiplied, all we left to multiply is the hundreds. Okay, so now because we multiply in the hundreds, we add 2 magic zeros. So 1 magic 0 in the tens column and 1 magic 0 in the units column. Please don't forget, I'm stressing your magic zeros, okay, in the right places. So all we do now is we take the 4 and we multiply it with the unit, the 4 with the 10, the unit with the 100, and the unit with the 1000. Okay, so 4 times 2 is 8. Then we say, and we put our 8 here. Then we say 4 times 5 is 20. So we put our 0 here. Oh, gosh, I'm so sorry about that. So we put our 0 here and we add a 2. Okay, then we say 4 times 1 is 4. And 4 plus this 2 gives us the answer of 6. And we add our 6 here. And then all we left with now is 4 times 5. 4 times 5 is 20. So we put our 0 here and we add a millions column. Okay, and we put A2. Okay, so now what we do is we're going to add our, so wait, what we did was we multiplied our top number with the 100. So that step is done. So what we do now is we're going to add the units column. We're going to add the tens column. We're going to add the hundreds column, the thousands column, the 10,000 column, the hundreds and 10,000 columns, and the millions column. Sounds much, but as you see, as we did it, it wasn't difficult at all because these are just your place values. Okay, so 2 plus 0 is 2. So we put our answer 2. Then 6 plus 5 is 11. So we put 1 here and we carry our 1 here. And then we have 8 plus 1 is 9. 9 plus this 1 is 10. And then 10 plus that 5 is 15. So can you see how I didn't just add 8 plus 5 plus 1? I just went the easy way. 8 plus 1 is 9. 9 plus this 1 is 10. 10 plus that 5 is 15. So we put our 5 here and we carry our 1. So if you're going to do it the easy way, you must just remember not to forget, you mustn't forget to forget any number when you're adding. So now what we do here is 4 plus 1 is 5. 5 plus this 5 is 10. So we put our 0 here and we carry our 1 to the next column. Okay, so we're going to add now. 6 plus 5, 5 plus this one is 6, and 6 plus 6 is 12. So we put our 2 here and we carry our 1 to the next column. And then we have 1 plus 1 is 2. And there's nothing to add here, so we bring down our 2. And we have our answer here. And that's how we did a 4 by 3 number. So I'm going to leave this on for you for a minute, and then you can write it down. Then what I want you to do is to take separate paper, work out the whole sum, and then see if you get this answer. And if you don't get this answer, do it individually by multiplying the units first, the tens first, and the hundreds first, and then see where you went wrong. And this is called learning through errors. So when we learn through the mistakes we make, we won't make the mistakes again. Okay, so I'm going to leave it on for about a minute, and then you can take it down. Okay, so our minute is up. So we're going to, basically, that is our end of our lesson. So what you've learned is that you've learned how to multiply 3 by 3 digits going slowly, and you learned how to multiply 3 by 4 digits. So it was important for you to remember that our magic zeros go in the right place. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some questions. Does anybody have a question that they'd like to ask that they're not clear on anything? My host will tell me. You can put it in the chat if you want to, and my host would tell me if you need to know a question.
There are no questions at this stage, teacher.
Okay. Luwazi?
Am I
Hello.
unmuted?
Hi,
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. So for every digit, for every 4 by 3 digits, the last number, the unit, you have to times it by the 4 digits every time until you get an answer, and then
Oh, I'm
you
losing you. You're going to have to speak a little louder.
I'm saying, ma'am, for every digit, you have to first use the.
Okay, I think I know what you want to say because you were breaking up. I couldn't hear exactly. So for every number, like say you have 5152, and you're going to multiply it with 431. So you're going to take your 431, and for each number, you're going to multiply it with each digit above. Okay, so you multiplied this one with the 2, then this one with the 5, this one with the 1, and this one with the 5. Then you move to the tens column of this 431. So when you move to the tens column, in the second row here, you put a magic 0. And then you multiply the 3 with each number, each of the above numbers. So it will be 3 with the 2, 3 with the 5, 3 with the 1, 3 with the 5. Okay, and you must remember to carry over if the number is more than 10. You carry it over to the next column. So then you multiply the 4, and then when you multiply in the hundreds, you put 2 zeros, one in the units and one in the tens column. And then you multiply the 4 with the unit, the 4 with the 10, the 4 with the 100, and the 4 with the 5. So don't worry about or get excited because all these numbers are going further left. You just put it in the right place. Even if you forget what the place values are, you just carry on moving to the next number. So like when you're putting the 4 here with the 8, you put it in this column. And when you multiplying this 4 here with this 5, you put it after the 8. When you're multiplying the 4 with the 1, you put it after the 0, you put your answer here. When you're multiplying this 5 with the 4, so you put your 0 here and you put your 2 in the next to it. So and if you separate it and you don't write it right next to each other, when you are adding it, it makes it just very clear for you the numbers that you're supposed to add, even if you forget the place value. Okay.
Okay, teacher, we do not have any other questions, but Tondo is asking whether you're going to give them some activities to do, some homework.
So what I would do is I will post it on, and I will ask my host, or I will ask our technicians to upload it for you. I'll prepare a worksheet for you. And then you can do the activities. Is that okay? I'll prepare one and I'll upload it up for you on the website. So what you can also do is you can just take any 4 by 3 numbers and you can multiply them together. Take any numbers that you want, do 5 sums. Any 4 numbers by 4 numbers, and then you can email it to me. Here's my email address. It's ahaffea@gmail.com. And then if you've made a mistake, then I will email it back to you and I will give you the correct answers. So take my email down. So it's ahaffea@gmail.com. And then you can learn very easily that way. And if you follow the steps I gave you, then you master vertical multiplication and it won't be a problem for you. It would be very easy. Okay, so it's been a pleasure tutoring you. Your teacher would be back tomorrow, but you are still welcome to email me with your answers, and I will respond and I will reply to you. It's no problem at all. Okay, have a lovely day. Enjoy the rest of your day, and bye-bye. Goodbye.